Good morning, everyone. We are back. We are back from vacation, back into the normal routine, which means coffee breaks back, construction noises are back. It's all back. Let's go live on Instagram as well. Gosh, that's loud. Some loud construction this morning. Good morning, Instagram. Live on Instagram, live on YouTube. Um, Exciting week this week. A lot of stuff happening this week. A lot of disc releases and such. Just getting fully back into the swing of things. We'll go over all those, give you some updates on what's going on here at Foundation, and then we actually just dropped our top 25 discs, top 25 selling discs of May. And so I figured it'd be fun to kind of go over that list with y'all and give you my insight into why that list looks the way it does. So yeah, we'll go through all that and then answer some questions to round it all out. Appreciate y'all all being back with me. Had a great vacation last week. Some good time with family. People are saying they can't hear me on Instagram. Let me know if you can hear me on Instagram. We'll see. We'll see if we can. All good on YouTube. YouTube, all the ones that matter. No offense, Instagram, but we got some. Okay, we got people that can hear us. Perfect. Disc releases this week. We got an Innova restock, including the stock Halo Destroyers. The stock Halo Destroyers are actually already live on the site. But we got the Innova restock should be going up probably not this week because I'm about to read off a bunch of stuff that has to drop this week, and we're a little short staffed because we've got Brad and Trevor out, and I think half of our college staff's obviously home too now. So I don't know how much of all of this is going to go up, but this is all on hand or coming in this week, and it'll be going up over the next week. So the Innova restock's probably the lowest on the totem pole. So I don't know if that's going to make it up this week or not, but we've got a huge Innova restock. So it's exciting whenever that does go up over the next few weeks. There's going to be a Supreme Burst Saki Bomb Felon this week. The first run Alba, I believe that's from Castaplast. We're going to have some Rage Stones, the FD1 Rage Stone from Discmania, the Dark Stone, which I believe is an Instinct from Discmania. We also should be getting in some custom stamped Halo Destroyers. I believe we'll get some Bogey Bro ones, which are sick. Those should be coming in this week. I think those are going to come in midweek, so hopefully we'll get them up by Friday, but no promises there. And then dropping Friday, which you could have already pre-ordered these. If you pre-ordered them, they'll be shipping Friday. We have the Fission Time Lapse, both the special edition and the regular. The Simon Hummingbird Tesla, the Conrad Detour, both the special edition and the regular, and then the special edition and regular Electron Entropy. So all kinds of sick MVP stuff dropping. I believe that's Friday is when that releases. I think it's the 14th. So that's all super exciting. Those are all on hand. I'll be throwing them probably the next day or two. So I'm really excited to try the Detour. Also really excited to try the Fission Time Lapse because Simon let Trevor throw it up at Maple Hill. He had some on hand, and they looked incredible. So yeah, Friday seems to be the right date for the MVP drop. So, and then finally, the Ledgestone Wave 3 is this week as well. So Ledgestone Wave 3 also Friday. So a lot of Frisbees to get on the site. So will that all happen? We're going to try our best. Jason's in the chat. He can let us know for sure if it's all going to happen. But we will see. We'll see. That's a lot. It's a big week. A lot of shipments coming in this week. But all that stuff's coming in this week. So even if it doesn't happen Friday, over the next few weeks. But a lot of exciting stuff. I don't actually know what all's in Ledgestone Wave 3. I've been not super in tune with Ledgestone this year. So I don't know what discs those are. But that should be this week too. So I actually have coffee for this week's coffee break. Important. I actually got a mug that I forgot to bring in on vacation. So Jason said the MVP and Ledgestone are for sure going up this week. But I got a mug that I forgot to bring in that I got for coffee break because it's a funny mug, and it just has a carafe, a drip. What are those things called? A container, and it just says "respect the drip" on it. And that was very funny. It's a dad joke. I love dad jokes. So I forgot to bring it in though. So I'm just drinking out of. That is just drip coffee. I forget what Kinship has on drip this morning. It's probably one of their blends. But if you're ever visiting us, my brother's coffee shop, Kinship's, 2 doors down. So go see them. So let's get into some stuff going on at Foundation. we have some big news, some big announcements coming over the next few weeks. Uh, but it's not time yet. It's not quite time yet. So it'll probably be we have one thing that we're working out with the first announcement. Some of you probably already know about that one. But we have one thing we're working out for this first one that we're going to roll out. And I think we'll probably be able to roll it out next week, that first one. And then over the next 2 weeks, the second one will come out. Both of these I'm extremely, extremely excited about. One of them we've never done before. We've never had this before. The second thing, it's the first time, and I actually have my math wrong last time I said this somewhere. It's the first time in nearly 3 years, 2.5 years since we've done what we're about to do. Um, so if you've been following Foundation for long enough, you can probably start to put the pieces together. But very excited about all of that. Going to be a big June and maybe even a big early July here at Foundation. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Oh, I also forgot. I'm not going to release these this week because I don't want to get overshadowed by everything I just went over. But we have some new shirt designs. So of course they're on comfort colors. That's my favorite shirt. I'll back up so everyone can see it at the same time. But we've got Foundation logo on the front, and then absolute sick. It's all or nothing on the back. You could probably tell this is inspired by BPN if you're a BPN fan. So very, very. I think this is like the sickest shirt design I've ever done. Bunch of different colors. For that, I chose the navy though for myself. And then the other one I'm very excited about as well. Just has FDG since 2019 on the front there. The since 2019 is like small under it. And then on the back, it says Foundation Disc Golf, building your game since 2019. Very excited about both of these shirts. Super, super cool. These will be dropping, like I said, probably next week because I don't want them to get overshadowed by all the releases this week. So, but I'm very excited about those. We've been waiting for that to come in for a little bit. So excited about that stuff. Some other stuff going on behind the scenes. We've been, by we I mean I've been messing with some paid advertisement stuff with like pushing mainly foundation care. And I'm if any of you who are watching this have experience with like Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, like paid advertising on social media and digital, hit me up, please, because I need to pick some people's brains on it. Because I think the two there's kind of two different thought processes with paid advertising and digital, and I can't decide which makes the most sense and which, because like it changes how you track it. So the one that is how I've always tracked it is just money in, money out, which is basically if you spend $100 on an ad, then it needs to drive whatever. Let's just use a basic 50% margin, right? Then it needs to drive $200 in sales to break even. So the money in, money out model is basically just like if I spend $100 on an ad, if it drives $200, $250 in sales, I've made money. So that model though is fully dependent on like direct conversions from those ads. And obviously Google, Facebook, all of them, they want to look better than they are. So like they'll change up how long like a conversion will last. So like sometimes someone might look at the ad and because they saw the ad on Monday and they made a purchase on Friday, it'll attribute that as a conversion to the ad when it's like, is it? I don't know. Technically, sure. So you can track ads and ad spend that way, or you can track it based solely on reach and then top line sales. And I've kind of heard arguments for both ways, and I can't decide which is the route we want to go, right? Because if you're doing the ads and you're tracking it just money in, money out, then it's like, okay, we'll again go $100 on this ad. It generated $500 in sales. Perfect. Boom. That works. Or you can go the route of this isn't even necessarily a selling ad. It's just an exposure. We're paying for exposure and we're tracking just like top line sales of does that go up the more we spend on ads? And so, yeah, I don't know necessarily the best route and which route we're going to end up rolling with, but we've been messing with, especially that if you saw the Foundation Care ad on our Instagram, the one with Jason in it that was like, I popped out of the TV. If you haven't seen it, go over to Foundation's Instagram and just look for the like dark, moody thumbnail and click on that one. That's the Foundation Care ad. Super well done. Really, really loved it. One of the reasons we wanted to create it was so that we could, we posted it organically to test the reach. The reach was good. So we knew this ad works. This ad resonates with people. So then we put some money behind it and ran it as a YouTube ad. Um, and that's been working. And actually, the test period I did just finish, so we have to like reevaluate and see, do we want to like keep going to push it on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something we've been thinking about more and more because we have organic reach. That's what we've built this whole company on. It's just organic posting. But now that we have good organic reach and good brand awareness, we can use and supplement paid ads to like drive our salesy stuff home and not dilute the feed of our main social media. I just don't know fully exactly the best way to do that. So that's what I'm in the process of kind of learning and working through right now. And I'm trying to read because everyone seems to have a different opinion on where you should run ads, how you should run ads, and how you should track ads. And it gets very confusing. So I just need to mess around with it more. And the only way to mess around with it more is to spend more money on it, which is frustrating because I like learning stuff and then spending money on it. But the ad world, you got to spend money to learn. So is what it is. But I believe that's everything going on at Foundation right now. Like I said, um, like I said, big news coming in the next few weeks. So you stay tuned. One of them is going to be accompanied by a behind the scenes vlog that I started yesterday. So you'll also see that on the YouTube channel. If you're watching here, you're good. If you're on Instagram, you can watch that on my YouTube channel when it drops. But finally, before we get into some question and answer segment, wanted to go over. I just dropped this yesterday because I was planning debate night this week because I'm the host since Trevor's out of town, and I was trying to come up with debate night questions. And one of them that I decided to go up with was basically regarding certain brands' sales, like in the top 25, um, just to see what companies like player performance and how that directly correlates to company sales. And there's a few different online retailers that drop their like top 25 or top 50 of the month, quarter, year. And I was like, so I pulled our data to like tie in with all the other data that I was seeing. And then I was like, well, I already pulled the data. I might as well release it because I always find that super interesting. And I figured y'all might find it interesting too. So I'm gonna try to do this every month because it took me like 10 minutes to do. It's super easy to pull this data and then I can just copy and paste it into a blog. So if you're watching on YouTube, the link to this blog is actually in the description. If you're on Instagram, you have to go over there to if you wanted to read it. I also tweeted it out yesterday from Foundation's account. So you can also go to Foundation's Twitter and find it. But here we go. The top selling discs for May of 2024 from our site. So we'll start at the top and go down. We'll just give you number one first. Number one was the Discraft Swarm, which makes sense. It was a brand new release. The Andrew Presnell Tour Series Swarm dropped last month, and that was the first like public release of the Swarm. You could have got like test flights and proto ones at different places, but so that made sense. That one didn't really confuse me at all. Next down, we had the Simon Line time lapse. In May, we had a restock of them. We also had the pre-orders for the ones that drop on Friday go live. So again, that made sense. Same thing with the MVP Tesla. That's Simon's Hummingbird stamp pre-order dropped. So the next one down is the Cast Berg, which might have surprised some people. But we had the Glide is a Lie custom stamp Bergs drop last month. So coming in fifth is like really the first place of like wasn't a drop, which is the Discraft Buzz, which I don't think that surprises people at all. Like the Buzz is always one of the top selling discs on like pretty much any list. And so there it was, the Discraft Buzz. And what's surprising to me is the Discraft Buzz actually beat out a few of the other ones I'm about to list, which were like we ran custom stamps last month, and the Discraft Buzz still outsold them. And we have some custom stamp buzzes on the site. Like we have some Tour Life buzzes. I think we have some Foundation custom stamp ones, but we didn't drop those in May. We've like had those buzzes since like February or March. So that's not like we weren't pushing the Buzz. The Buzz just did its thing and just landed top five. Number 6 was the Latitude 64 Grace. which the 1,000 rated Grace dropped last month. The MVP glitch came in at number 7. We had some custom stamp glitches, so that also lined up and made sense. But we also had some stock glitches, and the glitch makes perfect sense. Axiom Rhythm came in at number 8, which this is actually cool because we did have custom stamp ones, but the custom stamp ones actually only attributed for like maybe half of the sales of the Rhythm. It was kind of 50-50. And I think part of that was we put a video out on social somewhere, and I talked about it on the podcast of how much I liked the Rhythm. So it's cool to like look at this list and be able to correlate things where when we do social posts and social pushes, you can see a disc like the Rhythm that isn't by nature that popular. It is somewhat popular, but it's not like one of the big MVP discs, right? But you can see it slide into the top 10. So that's cool. Latitude 64 Pure, again, there's the Kristen 1,000 rated or some type of Kristen Pure dropped. So that makes sense. Axiom Crave, we had the special edition ones. The Discraft Drive came in at number 11, which I don't remember if the Drive dropped last month, but we had some proto drives. So, but that's a great disc. The Detour actually surprises me how low it ended up on this list, the MVP Detour, because it, similar to the Swarm, this is like the first time it's been publicly available. We pre-sold it. I think that might play part into it because the rest will drop on Friday, June 14th. But the Detour came in 12th. So that was kind of surprising. Next down the line, the Discraft Zone. Very shocking there. Not really, but it beat out again some more discs that I'm about to go through that we had custom stamps on and stuff. And it's just the Buzz and the Zone are the two that so far there hasn't been this disc is here because blah blah blah, because there was a release, because there was a custom stamp, because whatever. So the Buzz was 1, Zone's 2. Not super shocking given our demographic, given we've built a very discraft heavy business, and it's also not surprising given how many people throw the Buzz in the Zone. So Buzz and Zone, impressive there. Next down the line, we had the Trash Panda Inner Core. Again, we had some foundation custom stamped inner cores, but it was kind of split between the like stock inner core and the custom stamp. So I was surprised it made it this high up on the list personally. The inner core is a great disc, but it was surprising for me that it got this high. It might have also, I think the Baja Blast inner cores might have dropped in May. I could be mistaken on that, but yeah. Then number 15 came the Entropy, which again was the pre-order. We had the Electron Entropies drop. Now number 16, basically from here on out, these are all just stock discs. So everything above it, there was like, some type of drop, some type of release, which, every month that we do these, because I want to do this every month going forward, every month we do these, that's how it's going to be. There's always going to be some type of release, some type of drop, and that's going to skew this list a little bit. But it's cool to see like the Buzz still get in there, the Zone still get in there and pull its weight even without anything pushing it. The rest of these are just, these are the discs that are just selling. And a lot of them we didn't even push. It just, they landed here. Number 16 really surprised me, the Discraft Hades. Because I don't feel like the Hades is that popular of a disc, all in all. But we moved a decent bit last month. It beat out next down the line was the Latitude 64 Diamond, which I believe we even had a restock of diamonds come in last month. And then in 18th place, we had the Prodigy PA3, which the Fractal Plastic PA3 dropped. So, there's a decent bit of PA3s moving there. And then in 19th place, we have the Discmania P3X, which I believe that also released in May. So that lined up there. And then we had the MVP Watt, which is like the max weight glitch, that came in at 20th. And then we get super Discraft heavy, 21 down. We go Discraft Zeus, Discraft Kratos, Discraft Venom. Then the Streamline Echo came in at 24th. That was our worst selling custom stamp we did last month. So it makes sense that it still made the top 25, just barely 24th. And then number 25 shocked me, to be honest with you, because I think there would have been a lot of discs I would have expected to go above this one. And I've been trying to think back if we pushed it or if we did anything weird with it or talked about it ever. And I don't remember pushing it. So it must just sell just because what it is. But it just very surprising to me. Number 25 was the Buzz SS from Discraft. I don't feel like I know many people that throw the Buzz SS. And I always talk about it being a very underrated mold when people ask. But like, I don't feel like I pushed it last month. So I don't know. That was very surprising to me. The Buzz SS came in, rounded out the top 25 as the 25th best-selling disc of May. So I thought that was a fun little update there. I'm gonna try to do these every month, and then maybe now that I've pulled the data, I can probably do quarterly and yearly because again, it's just I don't know. It's I always enjoyed looking at it. Hopefully, y'all enjoy looking at it and hearing it. Again, you can find that over on Twitter if you're like just joining and want to see the rest of the list. Twitter Foundation Disc Golf. I'll post it on my Instagram too. The link to the blog here. Um, but yeah, very fun list. That's the top 25 from May. So Ollie Bro says a lot of touring pros have been gassing up the Buzz SS recently. So maybe it's just that simple. Maybe some touring pros said the right touring pros said something and boom, it's moving. So I don't feel like it's been moving super well. But all right, fire away if you have any questions. I'll try to catch up on some of the ones that have been missing. Back to the advertising thing. Some advice here. Hunter Kyle said hard to compare because I've done ads for league I run, which isn't a business, but our focus was the reach base since we just wanted feet to the door. If you have a good budget, Cosmo says, if you have a good budget for advertising, the second method of just seeing how it impacts sales is the most insightful. And then Hunter said, agree, set a budget and view it as sunk costs and analyze your result. So maybe that's the route I should be going. Charles said, I'm drinking a V60 this morning. When you brew your coffee at home, what's your pour over method of choice? Do you have a favorite recipe? I don't know the name of my recipe, but basically what I do is 20 grams of coffee in, and then I go a 70-gram bloom, and then wait 30 seconds, 70 grams again, and then at a minute, I pour to 320 grams, which I believe is that's what, a 16 to 1 ratio. So that's what I've always done. I like it. If I want to mix things up, my two other ways of making coffee at home is the inverted AeroPress method, where you like pour it in and then you let it sit, stir it. I think you actually do like a bloom, stir it, pour it all the way in, let it sit, turn it over, and then I add water to get it to 320, or something like that. I have an app called like Filtru or something that I put my AeroPress recipe in there like 2 years ago, and I just forget about it. I just like pull it out and follow those steps because I don't make AeroPress that often. And then I have a Breville espresso machine, and so I'll make a Americano if I'm not feeling a pour over or something. So let's see. Simon Horn said, 2 questions for you. Should I be putting with a max weight putter as an intermediate player? And what shoes do I use for my daily running mileage? Should you be putting with a max weight putter? I think so. I don't think that the here's my take on it, right? If you're struggling with physically getting the disc to the basket from like 30 to 35 feet, then a lighter weight putter could help you, right? But the problem is inside the circle, wind is going to affect 160 gram or whatever. Now, once you hit like 170 plus, I don't think that there's that much of a difference. So if you want to putt, like if you're talking, should I putt 172 versus 175? Putt whichever one's a cooler color or feels better. I don't think that matters. But if we're talking mid 160s to upper 170s, like that's a pretty drastic difference. And the wind inside the circle could actually affect that pretty drastically to where you could be making less putts because you're putting with lighter putters. I've also found lighter putters, I have a harder time getting to stick in the basket. I don't know if it's a mental thing, but or if the chains just body them more. But yeah, that's for me. I like max weight. Now, if you're going like 40 to 60 feet and you're having trouble getting a disc there, then what you could do is carry one max weight, one lightweight, and when you get outside the circle far enough, jump putt with the lighter weight one. But I don't think there's a certain like beginner players. We typically recommend lighter weight discs because it's easier to get them up to speed for throwing. But for putting, I always give beginners a max weight putter because I don't think that the putters are already easy to throw straight regardless of the speed. And I think inside the circle, it doesn't really matter that much. So I say yes, go ahead and putt with the max weight putter, unless there's a specific reason you aren't. And then he also asked, what shoes do I use for my daily running? So I rotate through 2 different pairs of shoes. I actually have my bag here. This is my running bag I bring to work every day because in the side pocket carries my shoes. So my daily trainers are Saucony Triumphs. And then when I'm running like every other day, I'll rock the Brooks Ghost. These are actually Ghost 14. I think they're on 15s now. Um, so these are ones that I'll use. I use them for my speed work. They're not necessarily a speed shoe. They're still an everyday trainer. It's just they're not my race shoe. So I also find I think they have a little bit higher drop, so I find they put me on my toes a little bit more, and they're not quite as cushiony, so I can feel the ground a little bit more than the Saucony Triumphs. So I rock the Brooks Ghost for like speed work, and then I rotate my shoes every other day. So I'll run in like I ran in my Triumphs yesterday. I'll run in my Ghost today, Triumphs tomorrow, so on and so forth. But my everyday shoe and long run shoe is the Saucony Triumph for right now. Absolutely love them. Let's see. Okay, good. People seem to like the top 25 list. I like that. So, Chad said, "When will the Bogey Bro rope hat be back in stock?" I didn't know they were out of stock. So, probably soon. That's a pretty popular hat. So, I'll probably bring it back. This company that makes these hats, these college dad hats, actually has a rope hat version. So we might pivot and go with this brand only because it's easier for it to fit my head. Because the current rope hats are just massive. They're huge. Like they don't even come close to fitting my head. Um, but I don't know. We'll get some Bogey Bro hats of some variety back in stock soon. Max said, running my first tournament. It's a fundraiser tournament for charity. Just curious if you had any tips. Thanks for all you guys do. Yeah, for a tournament in the modern day, the way the PDGA has tournaments set up for tournament directors, like all the hard work comes before tournament day. So like you set up everything, you get all the layouts and everything done, and then day of tournament day, you just kind of can do check in and then sit back and enjoy enjoy the fruits of your labor, if you will. So my advice would be just like double and triple check everything on the front end, like before the tournament day starts. Make sure you have the layout set, make sure you have the rules in the online scorecard. If you do all the legwork right, then it should eliminate pretty much all of your work on tournament day and you can just get out there and enjoy it. So that'd be my advice is just like make sure you double, triple, quadruple check the front work and make sure that all that stuff is locked in. Because then it'll make your day tournament day way easier. I'm running the Virginia Commonwealth Games. If you want to sign up, registration's live. I'm running the Virginia Commonwealth Games next month, July 20th and 21st, I believe. That'll be my next tournament I'm running. But Keaton said, on a scale from 1 to 10, how hard are you pinching between your index and thumb when I'm on the tee pad? So I don't know if you mean, I'm assuming you mean forehand. Here's a little sneak peek of this month's subscription box, by the way. But I'm assuming you mean forehand, because backhand, my index finger is back here, and you can see where my thumb is. It's out here. But both of them, I pinch 9 or 10. I grip very hard on both. I know some people just like don't, but what I was taught was from Will Shoestrick videos back in the day, and he would always like tell people to grab the disc and hold it, and then he would try to pull it out of their hand, and if he could pull it out, he was like, "You're not gripping hard enough." And so, and I've also like watched when people would throw and like distance throwers, their thumb is just like in the disc, like pushing down. So I've always gripped really hard, and then I just let my snap like pop the disc out where the disc just ejects itself. And I do the same forehand when I go to flick, I just kind of like I have a ton of pressure in here. You're not moving this; it's not coming out. And then when I go to throw, it just I don't know. It's just your body just does it. I don't know how to describe it. That's why I'm not a coach. But I just like when it snaps, it just launches. I don't know, but I pinch hard. I pinch very hard on both. So don't really know how to describe it, but Evan Wooster said, "How's the marathon training going?" So I'm right now just building my base for the next month, and then I'll start marathon training in July. I think it's like July 18th is the day I'll start, somewhere in there, July something. I actually just picked my marathon training plan. I bought, I think it's called Advanced Marathoning. I'm gonna use whatever the plan is in that book. I read a bunch of stuff, and it seems like that's what I want because I wanted a plan that was like 16 to 18 weeks long, and I wanted it to peak at about 50 miles. And it seems like the plan in that book, A, has a ton of really, really good reviews, and B, is 18-week plan, and you can choose how many miles you peak at, but there's an 18-week, 55-mile peak week plan. So that's the one I'm gonna go with for this time around. Because last time I did a 16-week plan and I peaked at 37. I was supposed to peak at 40, but I missed a run that week or had to cut a run short. So I peaked at 37 miles. And I think that's what made me hit the wall. I hit it hard. So I'm gonna try this time going up to 55 miles for peak week, and I'm excited about that. But I'll start in a month. But as of right now, where I sit currently, I'm kind of recovering from a cold. So like my runs this week are just going to be all super easy and slow. But I'm in cardio wise and like data wise the best shape I've ever been in. I don't know if that necessarily means like I'm gonna go out and run a marathon tomorrow, but like my aerobic base is the best it's ever been. So that's super exciting because I'm just going to try to maintain that going into a month from now. I just got to ramp up to like 26 miles a week for a month from now. And once I get there, I should be at world's better spot than when I started training for last year's marathon. And so that's super exciting because I really, really, really want to run close to 4 hours this year. My January marathon, I ran 4 hours and 45 minutes. So I'm asking myself to take almost 2 minutes off per mile, which is a big ask, but I think I can do it. I think I can do it. That's all I'm saying. And I think we're because like right now my aerobic pace, so like below 155 heart rate, back in January was probably at like 10 minutes, and right now it's at like 940 pace, which is great. And then as I get into marathon training, if I can drop that to like 920, then I should be golden to run it and be able to hold a 9 minute pace for 26 miles. So we'll see. We shall see. Very excited though. Tony said, do you think the dealer release for the Innova Gorgon is a good thing or does it make no difference? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm excited for the Gorgon. I've seen them hyping it up and I want to throw it really bad. And I'm a little jealous that a bunch of other social media influencers got their hands on it and we didn't. I'm actually very jealous because it looks like a disc that I really want to throw. Um, but I don't know. I'm assuming by you're saying the dealer release, I'm assuming they're releasing it themselves first. I don't think it really makes a difference because I've seen other companies do this. And what it comes down to is like people who are the diehard fans of that brand will buy it wherever it goes, right? But they'll sell a fraction of however many, and then there'll be a public retailer release, and there's going to be like each retailer has a diehard like audience, right? Or an audience they reach that some manufacturers reach, some don't. And so when it hits our shelves, then it'll still be a very popular release because then we will be marketing it to our people, to our audience who there might be some crossover with Innova, but some of them like just won't shop with retail with manufacturers because you can't pick the color or the shipping takes forever or whatever. I don't know. Each manufacturer has like some different thing of how they do their website that people don't like. Sometimes it's as simple as, well, I wanted to buy a Gorgon and a Buzz. I can't buy both at Innova. So um yeah, I don't know what's the dealer release. I don't know how that works. Um Actually maybe dealer release is the flip of that. Maybe it means it's released through retailers. So I don't know. You have to explain to me, Tony, what's going on with it. It comes out everywhere the same day, including their own site. Oh, so it's the flip of what I just said. It's the opposite. Um, where okay, so then flip side, where I think that could be a good thing, because again, I don't think it really changes too much. Where I do think it's a good thing is for Innova, it guarantees their sales because if it hasn't dropped anywhere and they've been building hype, then every retailer is going to buy it. And for them, before the drop date happens, they've probably already sold 10,000 of them, maybe more. I don't know how many retailers there are, but they probably sold thousands of it before they ever drop it to the public. And then the public can pick and choose where they want to buy it from. And so it's up to the retailers to also market it And so for if I was a manufacturer, I would have 2 boats. I would either be all in on selling through dealers and I wouldn't do anything myself, or I would be all in on direct to consumer and I wouldn't sell to retailers or dealers. And I don't when they try to do both is where it gets confusing because like if you are a manufacturer and you sell straight to consumers, your margins are way higher, but the amount of volume you do is way lower, right? Because people want to shop and buy a bunch of different discs at the same time. You're not marketing to the entire disc golf audience, you're only marketing to your fan base, so on and so forth. People aren't going to go to our website, for instance, and be looking for a destroyer and stumble on a mint disc bobcat. That's a sale for a bobcat that mint wouldn't have gotten because that person was going to a site looking for a different brand's disc, right? Those things happen. So if I were a retailer or a manufacturer, I would choose one or the other because the sending to retailer route, like I said, you are guaranteeing there's so many retailers that it is their brand identity that they carry every single disc that's made. So even if you're a brand new company and you don't like you don't know how many discs you're gonna sell or whatever, if you send an email out to every retailer, like at least 10 of them are gonna buy probably 10 to 20. And there you go, you might have just sold 200 discs without even having to market. You just sent them emails. Like you didn't even have to like get public hype. Now you have to generate public hype to generate recurring sales, but that's like there's 2 routes, right? And if you go that route, you're guaranteeing a mass number of sales up front because retailers are going to buy them, and then your job and the retailer's job is to make sure the public gets excited about it and wants to keep buying them so that you keep selling them. But I don't like when companies try to play both games because I think then it just muddies the water because it's like they have a selfish interest to promote and market their own website because why wouldn't they? Their margins are way higher there, but then they also want to move a mass amount, which means that they need to be pushing people to retailers because the more the retailers move, the more they're going to move, but their margins are lower there. So it's just a volume versus margin play. And a lot of companies just try to do both. So do they even make lightweight putters? All of mine are 170. They do make lightweight putters. Yeah. No, Ollie Bro says he's only ever putted with a Banger GT and hasn't tried anything else. As a fellow Banger GT putter, I can say this with some experience and know what I'm talking about. There's a lot better putters out there. No offense to the Banger GT, great throwing putter. Don't really think I like it as a putting putter, but hey, it is what it is. Let me try to get caught down. Okay, I think I'm caught up on Instagram. Let me get caught up on YouTube here. Uh, Cody said, "What do you think is the closest feeling putter that Dynamic Disc Judge that's not House of Discs? Closest feeling, probably. Good question. I'm gonna go with the Discraft Focus. I'm gonna go with Discraft Focus. I think it has a might have a more pronounced bead, but it has a very similar like nose profile. The Kratos actually might also be really close. The new Paul Macbeth Kratos. I think that could also be close. So the Kratos or the Focus, I think would be 2 good options for you there. Let's see. Get back down here. Do I know when the James Conrad trails are dropping? I do not know when the trails are dropping. Very excited for that though. Simon was throwing it all over the course when we went up to Boston a few weeks ago to Maple Hill, and whenever that releases, it's almost guaranteed in my bag. Like he was throwing it and he was explaining the flight to me, and it looked like basically like a perfectly beat up Thunderbird. And so I think once the trail comes out, like it's gonna go straight in my bag. The problem is I gotta figure out what it's gonna push out because it probably fits the passion most closely. It should be a longer passion. And like, do I really want to put my best disc out of my bag? Probably not. Do I want a trail in the bag? Absolutely. So Coach Dave says, can we get a monthly sub box spoiler? Yes. Yeah. Especially for y'all. There's like, I don't know, a few thousand people will see this between Instagram and YouTube, but I don't. I'll spoil it. So we've got this month's box. I've hyped it up a bunch. Okay, we're calling it the birdie or die box, or just the die box. I forget what we're calling it, but more or less, we partnered with Mint Discs to have the sick birdie or die Bobcat, which is a kind of like a more overstable Quake. It's a faster, like a 5-ish speed, I think. Nice and overstable. And then we have a clear Discraft Zone, which is a slower version. So they're similar discs that I wasn't crazy about, but they're different enough that I think you'll probably either like one or the other. But that's not really the purpose of this box. This box isn't exactly to like go throw every single one. I'll explain why in a second. And the third disc is a mix of Innova bottom stamp molds. So all three discs are white or clear. So you have a glow one, you have the clear zone, and you have the white star plastic from Innova, which can be a wide variety of plastic or wide variety of molds. And we partnered with the Dyers Guild, which if you haven't heard of the Dyers Guild, they're basically a die company, a disc golf die company, more or less is the easiest way to put it. And each box comes with these three discs. It also comes with a emergency die kit, which in there is enough dye to dye the discs, and a video tutorial on how to do a die on a disc for each of the discs. So it has like a video in there of how to dye discs, and it comes with a little bottle of shaving cream. So you can do a shaving cream bed, put the dye in there, make your design, boom, put your disc in, and dye it yourself. And so that's a super cool box. Because again, our sub box, you get 3 premium discs plus a swag item for $45. So this month you get a custom stamp glow Bobcat. You get a custom stamp. It's actually this stamp, which we only previously released in store only. This foundation pinwheel on a zone, which is a clear zone, clear Z zone, and then you get a bottom stamp Innova disc for plus the emergency die kit and the die tutorial, and I think you get a discount and like a free month of like their die subscription class model thing, and the shaving cream so you can dye the disc yourself. So it's like an intro to dyeing disc, which is super sick. Very excited about it. So, and I think this stamp I think turned out great. I think it's a very fun stamp. So yeah, that's this month. That's this month's subscription box. So there's still plenty in stock right now. We're gonna keep pushing it all month, so they'll hopefully sell out this month. Probably will. So if you want to get in on it, now is probably your best time over the next day or two. And everything's on hand, so it should be shipping. It might be shipping as you order it. If not, it's going to ship next week because I think we have everything on hand now. I think the shaving cream just came in. So super exciting box, in my opinion. I think this is one of the coolest boxes we've ever done. We're probably going to do a social promo where we dye discs. Each of us dye a disc in the box and like see who does it best. And yeah, and each month, one thing that I need to keep highlighting because I don't think it quite registers because a lot of companies use subscription boxes, mystery boxes, all that stuff just to dump old inventory on you. That's not what we do. We literally each and every month are picking our theme. We're designing typically at least one custom stamp, sometimes two, sometimes even three custom stamps, but typically at least one. And then we are working with manufacturers to order discs specific to the theme, right? Whatever that month's theme is. And so each month, every single disc that's going into these subscription boxes were ordered specifically for these subscription boxes. So you're never getting, oh, it looks like we have 25 Z Raptors left over. Let's use that in the subscription box because no one wants them right now. They're sitting. Or, oh, we got a huge shipment of Legacy that didn't sell. Let's throw it in the subscription box or whatever. No, if we pick the Z Raptor for a box, it's because we picked the Z Raptor for a box. Or if there's a Legacy mold in a box, it's because we picked that mold for that box and for that theme and sent it out there. So I think that's a very unique thing about the subscription box. And 3 premium discs plus the swag item for $45. Pretty much every month it crosses like $60 to $70 of value, depending on how you price the custom stamp and like the swag item and stuff. It typically at least hits that like $60 threshold. So I don't know. To me, it's the best value on the market for a subscription box. Obviously, I'm biased though, but I just know how much time and energy goes into it every month. And yeah, super excited. Simon Horn said, "Is the MVP spin a good putter? I've had a friend that putts with them, but never heard of anyone else using them. I haven't heard of anyone putting with them, but I know they're great throwing putters because they're like great hyzer flip to turn throwing putters. I think they're sick. So, all right, we're gonna go one more question here. Shay said big MVP restock on the site Friday. MVP release. We don't have the restock yet. So we have the Tesla time lapse detour entropy. That all drops Friday, but the full like MVP restock isn't in yet. Hopefully that's coming very soon. So okay. Um, let me see if there's any other one last question. Well, this is an interesting question. I don't know. Jared Mackey said, "Do you know if not backfilling from the wait list in a PDGA major is an actual policy?" I don't know what that's in reference to, Jared. Hit me with some more details. Not backfilling from the wait list in the PDGA major is an actual policy. In my head, if there's a spot, it goes to the wait list. But did that not happen in a major? I'd assume based on like this past weekend was US AMs. So I'd assume it's in something in regard to that. But if anyone knows more details, hit me with it. If not, we'll just hop off and we won't know the answer to the question. But to recap while we wait for some more details on that, a bunch of discs dropping, the MVP release, Ledgestone Wave 3 this week, plus there's a trilogy stuff coming in. And when I say trilogy, I need to just start saying House of Disc because now trilogy means Castaplast, Discmania, Dynamic, all that. Oh, here we go. Shay says allegedly people have jumped the list line because some type of event or sponsor exemption. Okay, so exemptions do exist. So I don't know the exact situation, but I know that as an event, you can have sponsor exemptions or like different priority lists, right? Where if like a club's hosting an event, you can, I forget the exact rule, but you can hold like X amount of spots for like sponsor exemption, stuff like that. You see it in the Pro Tour all the time. So if that's what happened and there was some type of like, we'll just say it must have been US AMs. I don't know if it was US AMs or something or not, but if it was US AMs and there was like a Innova player that got in because Innova was a sponsor or something, that is allowed to happen. So if that's what happened, I could see where it would suck if I'm the next player on the wait list and like some Joe Schmo got in. So Shay said the gripe is they're last minute. So like so and so shows up in exchange for running a clinic or something, gets fast tracked. USA DGC, once registration was closed, they no longer backfilled from the wait list. Heinold said it was a policy, but I couldn't find it. Oh, so they just said, so this is different. So they just said at USA DGC, like, registration is done. We're not filling from a wait list. I don't know. That's interesting. Um, I know there is some type of policy around. I don't think there's necessarily a policy where you have to fill from the wait list. I think it's just like what people typically do. There is some type of policy where there's a certain date range where like the registration becomes non-refundable. And so in that case, like as a tournament director, it's a lot easier if you don't have to go to the wait list, obviously, because then it's just like out there and you're set. But I don't know. That's an interesting one. I'm not aware of a policy that's like major specific that says you don't have to fill from the wait list, but I'm also not aware of a policy that says you always have to fill from a wait list, if that makes sense. I think um, it's typically like general practice of typically you fill from the wait list. It could have also been a situation where this is a national event and so you have people from all over the country and you don't want people like finding out like a wait list on a huge level event could get really messy because if I'm sitting in Virginia and I'm first on the wait list and the day before the event someone drops, well now the tournament director, in this case would have been Heinold, would have to reach out to me and be like, "Hey, are you trying to play tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I'm still in Virginia." No. And then it's like, okay, the next person down. "Hey, are you trying to play tomorrow?" And they're like, "I'm in Wisconsin." No. And then you reach out to the next person. They're like, "Let me see if I can book a flight." And then they don't get back to you. And it's like, well, I just went down this rabbit hole to fill one person's spot. Like, I could see where it would make sense not to do it. But I can also understand where that's really frustrating for you being number 2 on the wait list and 3 people didn't show and you didn't get to play. So I don't know. But I'm not aware of a policy either way. I'm not aware of a policy that says you have to. Uh, I'm not aware of a policy that says you have to do the wait list. I'm also not aware of a policy that says you don't. So I don't know. Heinold does know the rules like the back of his hand. So if he said something to policy, it probably is somewhere. But that's going to wrap it up for this week's coffee break. Hopefully, you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for Adam actually made a good point that I'll throw in here. Adam said it could just be his policy because that's also true, where it could be something where if it could be something where there's no policy regarding it and Heinold, with how many tournaments he runs, created a policy for himself, which is like, hey, this is how we do it at tournaments. We don't do X, Y, or Z, and it's like it's not a PDJ policy, just like a uh, Ledgestone policy because they run massive events, so they might have just come up with a policy themselves. It's like this is just what's going to work best with the size of events we run. So that could also be something to think about why we can't find a policy. But again, Heinold is I think he's the president of the board of directors. He might not be anymore, but he knows the PDJ rules like the back of his hand. If he said something to policy, it probably is, whether it's with him or with the PDGA. So I'll just leave it there. But that's going to wrap up this week. Hopefully, you all enjoyed. I'm really excited for the next few weeks because we should be able to make a public announcement and then I can get on here and give you the behind the scenes look at like all the moving parts that went into these different announcements that are coming over the next few weeks. So be sure to tune in. We'll be back live again next Tuesday, 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. We'll talk to you then on Instagram or on YouTube. Appreciate it. If you want to find that top 25 list, again, I'm going to share that on our Instagram story today, but you can also find it on Twitter or on the YouTube description as well. So appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. All right. Talk to you next week. YouTube. Appreciate y'all tuning in.